Sydney, and welcome to Whole Lotta Baka. In this episode, we talk about Tokyo Revengers Season 1, Part 1.
Spoiler alert, although we are only talking about the first part of this season, you can still expect a lot of spoilers for the whole thing.
Yeah. Alright, now let the Bakaness begin. Okay, let's start off. What are you wearing, Mia?
Well, I have my Mikey Tokyo Revenger shirt.
Get up close, they might not see it because it's all white. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
You know.
Show the boobalas. Yes. Okay.
Your turn.
I am also wearing a Tokyo Revengers because come on now. Like, who the fuck would we be if we didn't wear it for the episode? Yes.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that won't happen often.
No, it won't. Because last episode it didn't. We wore Demon Slayer, but we weren't talking about Demon Slayer. We already talked about that, so kind of had to get that Demon Slayer shirt out the way.
Kind of had to.
So let's talk about this intro. Fire.
Oh my gosh.
Fire!
I think of all time, this is probably my favorite anime intro.
Over a Naruto one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Naruto ones are like nostalgic. But as far as like a song, it's a fire ass song on its own. Like without it being an anime intro. Like I fucking listen to it in the car sometimes.
Yeah. Was it made only for this intro or was it actually, do you know?
You know, I don't know. I know that there's like a whole longer version of the song.
Oh, so it might have just been a song that they got rights for. Okay.
I don't know, because I've realized recently that the same artist that did this intro for this show also did the intro for Spy Family. And I only recognize it because like his voice is so recognizable, but maybe he just does anime intros. I don't know. Okay. Huh. But it's fire, yeah.
One of my favorites.
For sure.
Other than one of the Naruto outros. The very first Naruto outros.
Really?
I like that one a lot.
Really?
Yes.
I don't even know which one you're talking about, but I guess we'll get to it when we talk about Naruto.
Yeah. We will. I'll play it for you after this. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's do.
I do know that one.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I was like, wait, what is it for real? I want to know. Okay, yes, I love that one.
That's literally the very first one.
It's the very first one. Yes, I love it. Anyway, sorry.
Let's talk about our main character, Takemichi.
Well, they say Takemichi.
I know, but we didn't get there yet.
Which was, okay, I think that Takemichi resembles Deku a lot. I don't think that he's as bad as Deku.
I think he's worse.
I don't think he's bad as Deku. When it comes to, like, is he important to the show? Deku's more important to his show than Takemichi is. But I don't necessarily think that it's worse.
It's just the crybabiness.
Well, Deku is also a crybaby.
I know, but I feel like Deku's crybabiness, I mean, I hated it. Y'all know this.
Okay, yes.
That was our first show we talked about.
I did too, yes.
But, like, I feel like since we've talked about My Hero and now we're talking about Tokyo Revengers, watching Tokyo Revengers and seeing Takemichi cry all the time, I feel like his reasoning, he just cries for any reason. Okay, but his life is more realistic than Deku's. That's why it frustrates me so much. How many people do you know that just cry like that?
Deku cries over All Might. And how he's his favorite hero. That's why I think our criteria for worse are different. Because real life, like, problems, I can understand you crying about. But Deku cries about his idol. And I'm just like, okay, now, I have idols. I love people. I'm not about to cry about you all the fucking time. So, like, that's why I think that he's not as bad as Deku.
Okay. I feel like I've seen him enough times crying about something that didn't need to be cried over.
Deku?
No, Takemichi.
But it's still real world. It's more real world than Deku.
I guess
Like, closer to our real world.
You know what? I will say, I mean, I'm just kind of going off of, like, that was my original impression of Takemichi the first time I watched it. Mm-hmm. Since rewatching it, I give him more props because when you think about it,
he's doing a lot.
Yeah, going back in time and going in the future and seeing your dead friend and then seeing that they're still alive and then going to the future and they're alive again. He's going through a lot.
Your girlfriend. Waking up.
No, not even just his girlfriend.
His ex-girlfriend.
His friends too.
Well, yeah, but but the first person you meet or you see is your ex-girlfriend. She dies and then somehow you get reversed back in time and you could save her life.
Yeah.
And then all the other friends after that. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, like, Hinata is his main goal.
Right.
Because of the fact that he actually saw her on the news being dead.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was why he went.
Right. That's when he went
time.
back in time and stuff like that, or ended up being back in time. You know, so that's why I'm like, that may hit a little bit more than the Friends, because the Friends were now like happening as is. I don't know how to like really explain that. I think it's more shocking to be like, damn, Nia died in a festival. Like, now I go back in time, and then now I see all my other friends died in that 12-year span, and I didn't fucking know it. That's like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like, Hinata is his main focus. But I like how different the show is from all the other shows, because everything has like magic and whatnot, powers. Yeah. This one has no powers. It's just raw, brute strength that Takemichi definitely does not have.
Other than the time travel that's never really actually explained.
Or makes any fucking sense.
There's just that random power somehow, but everything else is pretty real life.
Like,
except for how strong these 12-year-olds are.
Right. Like, what made... Okay, so he goes back in time, and then he sees Naruto, which... Did you peep that he didn't know Naruto and Hinata were siblings? Yeah. I'm like, so back then, y'all dated for... I don't remember how long they dated, or by this time in the past they had been dating before he found out Naruto was her brother. But like, if they had been dating for, like, months, I feel like you would know.
Yeah. I felt like that was weird. Not even just because they were dating, but normally when you go to school with people and like you have some person like who's the same age as you and they have siblings, you normally know that they have siblings.
I don't know if you would know they had siblings, but
if they go to your same school, they're only a year apart. Did you realize that?
That is true.
They're only so Naruto is the grade under them.
That is true.
And you don't know that there's siblings at the same school?
I forgot that he was only a year. I thought he was in elementary school.
It would be different if they didn't go to the same school.
Right.
But they do.
And then on top of that, that's your girlfriend's brother, and you don't fucking
know. Like, for example, for most of my school life, I did not go to school with my younger siblings. Yeah. Except for in high school, where I was in high school with my younger brother for 1 year. Mm-hmm. And as soon as he got into our school, everybody knew he was my brother.
It was because he made it known.
Exactly.
On
and that's
purpose.
What anybody's younger sibling.
But Naruto didn't seem like the kind of brother that would go out of his way to be like, this is my sister, Hinata. Like, he didn't seem like that. As opposed to our siblings might be that way. Yeah. He seemed very reserved. But I still think it's weird, all in all, that, like, y'all are dating. It is weird that y'all go to the same school and you don't know that that they are siblings. But y'all are dating. And that she's never said anything about, like,
You never asked if she had siblings?
He didn't even know his name. He didn't even know that, Hinata has a brother named Naruto, but didn't realize that was Naruto.
Right.
Or that she had a brother, but just not... What the fuck? What? You didn't know anything. That she had a brother, that his name was Naruto. That made no fucking sense to me.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Another thing that didn't make any sense to me is that, when now this is going, like, forward. He talked about how, like, Naruto talked about how he was like, the reason why you're able to go back in time because of me is because you saved me that day. That doesn't make any sense to me. What makes more sense to me is that the fact that Takemichi told Naruto that you're going to die, your sister's going to die.
And I'm from the future.
And I'm from the future. That would make more sense to me. That would make, because
he saved... The reason why that didn't make sense to me is because Naruto's not the only person in the past that Takemichi saved.
He ends up saving, yeah.
He has saved a lot of other of his friends. Like, in the Fight Club that happened a little bit earlier, or later ahead, too, he saves his friend from having to fight because his friend's, like, weaker. Yeah. So he takes up for him and, like, stands in the fight for him.
Because of that, it's not like he can handshake and then go back in time.
Whereas the only difference between Takemichi and Naruto and Takemichi and everybody else is that Takemichi told Naruto in the past that he's from the future.
Yeah.
He's the only one in the past that he ever told.
So it was really weird that they went with that, like, reasoning as to why Naruto is able to bring Takemichi back in the past. I was like, that's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to let that slide, I guess.
No, for real. I mean, the whole travel part is a stretch. Like I said, they didn't explain it at all. Yeah. And I would say that's the only...
Is it because he had a near-death experience?
That could be it, too.
Because he did get pushed off.
Yeah, that could be it, too. I really have no idea because they didn't explain it.
Yeah.
And that's really my only issue with the show. clearly they felt like they didn't need to explain it, or maybe they will later.
Mm.
But also the fact that, like, it's so specific. Like, you could only go back to the same day 12 years ago.
Well, that would make sense, because that makes...
12 years ago? Why 12 years ago? Why can't I go back to the same
12
day?
years ago. Okay.
Why can I can understand that it's this same day, but why 12 years ago? Why only 12 years ago?
Because that was where it all started. The reason why Hinata died is because of the gang from 12 years ago. That's when Toman started. Toman was a fresh gang at that time. So, like, if Toman had started 3 years earlier or 3 years later, that would have been the time period that he would have had to go back into to save her.
Isn't that convenient?
It is very convenient.
It's just the power itself that's like,
the
why?
time traveling is weird to me. The time that he traveled in makes more sense.
The part that doesn't make sense is that's it. That's how this power works. That's what doesn't make sense. Like, that's a very convenient power.
It is. There's a lot of conveniencies in this. I still love it, but there are, like...
To be honest with you, that's really my only flaw with this show.
Watching it a second time, you realize how many inconveniences, or how conveniences are in this show, and how many there are, and it's like, okay, all right.
I guess I'll go along with this.
I'll go. Like, you better be glad you're a fucking
choice.
good show.
Literally, like, I guess I have no choice but to just accept this. Like... That's how I felt watching it.
Also, a thing is the fact that everybody looks like grown-ass men.
This bothered me so
It bothers me in
much.
every anime, though, because it's not just this anime, but this one is
true.
different because it's more real world to us.
I was going to say, I feel like this one's worse because of the fact that, like, they don't have powers and stuff. They're literally supposed to be regular middle schoolers.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I realized as I was watching this, that this is not the first anime we've watched where they have this delinquent stereotype.
What other one?
They show it in Psyche. What's his name was supposed to be a delinquent. You know, so I've seen other animes where there's like a delinquent character.
You're comparing.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
I was like, do not sit here and compare Psyche.
I'm not. I'm specifically talking about this delinquent stereotype that has shown up in a number of animes that clearly must be like a Japanese thing, like a stereotype in Japan that I'm not in Japan, so I clearly don't understand. Because as I'm watching it, I'm just like, okay, what is this stereotype? However, there's this whole community of 12-year-olds in Japan that have biker gangs
that want to be this.
Right, and like this is, it would have been different if this was the only show that was like this, but it's just the fact that I've seen it in other, like seen them talking about delinquents in other shows, where I'm like, where does this stem from? Because I feel like that's where I'm getting this disconnect, because maybe in Japan 12-year-olds are like this. Maybe.
Another thing that I'll compare it to American gangs, delinquents, is that normally what I think in America, kids get in gangs for protection, as opposed to here, it doesn't seem like protection, because like all of Takemichi and his friends want to be delinquents, want to be a part of a gang. So you know how they have initiatives. You have to like fight this dude to be a part, or you gotta stab somebody to be a part of this gang. It doesn't seem like there's any initiative for the Toman, so it's just like, it isn't for protection like it is over here.
Right. It seems like they're just doing it because it's the cool thing.
It's the cool thing to do.
And that's what I'm
missing. So maybe
missing.
that's a part of that stereotype.
And that's what I'm missing, because I guess gangs here are different.
Like,
the stereotype for gangs and delinquents here is different. So I'm just not understanding.
Because it's like, that's a way of life, because getting into a gang here in America is like protection for not just you, but like your family. Like nobody is gonna harm your family because you got all these people behind your back, a part of your gang, as opposed to over there. I'm not saying that they don't protect each other's family, but like from what we've seen, it doesn't look like they do initiatives for protection. It's just like, if you can fight, you're here. If you can't, get the fuck out. So it's just,
and also like, they're not a gang that's selling drugs or making money. Like, they're literally a gang who likes to fight with their friends, and like, it reminds me of like that.
There's really
like,
no
I just
goal.
want to do good rat shit with my friends.
I was like, there's literally no goal to this.
Nothing. Exactly.
Goal.
Whereas like, it's not the same. Like here, gangs actually are like, they're making money, and that's why all that other stuff ties into it. Whereas here, it's like they're just doing it for the fuck of it.
Yeah. So Takemichi getting his ass beat Because, okay, first of all, his friend, don't remember his friend's name. The one with the long blonde hair. I thought that he had like an illness the first time.
You're talking about how weak he was?
Yes!
He's so frail.
Okay. I'm not the only one that thought this. Because the second time around, I was really paying attention to him because I'm like, he's like in their friend group, but like it's weird because he's not, because I don't see him as much. I feel like he's there, but he's not. So like when they were talking about him being frail and stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember them talking about that. I was like, oh, I think he has a autoimmune disorder or some disease or something like that. No.
He's just weak.
He's just weak. He can't fight. So Takemichi's sticking up for him.
But it's so funny because none of them can fight. So to hear them talk about it in that way, I'm like, damn.
Y'all act like y'all big shots now. Because he's a friend. He's like the uglier friend. This makes him look better. It's literally what they basically told us. He's weak, so like we're better. He can't do shit.
He's so frail.
But I do like that even though they know that they can't fight like Kiyomasa and all of them can, Takemichi still got his little wimpy ass up there to fight him because what's-his-face couldn't.
You know what I will say that pissed me off?
What?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So first, right, we see Takemichi go save Naruto from those bullies. He broke a fucking bottle, was ready to kill some people.
Uh-huh.
He was literally so savage in that moment. Where's that Takemichi ever since?
I don't know.
We
get little spurts of crazy Takemichi in this, but like not enough that I'm
it's
like,
never to save his own ass.
No.
And that's what fucking pisses me off. I'm like, you just scared off like 3 bullies. A whole clique of bullies to save Naruto.
Because he knows that he's better than them, I guess. That he can fight them. As opposed to Kiyomasa, who looks like a 34-year-old with 3
that's
kids.
who you break a bottle for? He was ready to put the bottle of some kids on the playground at the swings. Where has that been since? Now that he's fighting real thugs.
It's that whole like he's bigger than me type aspect. I guess you think that you even with him
and it pisses me off.
Break bottle, you can't do nothing about it. So I don't know, but either way, Takemichi was about to be a dead body on the ground, and Aku was about to catch a body. Yeah. Like he said, "There's only one way." Like, excuse me, calling the police is not calling the police. He literally said, "There's only one way." And whipped out a fucking knife. And I'm like, you can't call 911? Y'all got phones?
Because then he'd be a snitch.
Nobody would know. There's literally like 50 people there. Plus Takemichi and Kiyomasa. He could have snuck away. Hello, 911? Yes, there's delinquents. They're fighting on the playground. They're fighting in this area. He could have done that.
He could have, I guess. He would have been a snitch. Whether people found out or not, he would have been a snitch.
But he would have been. But here's the thing:
there's a code you live by. Snitches get stitches.
But you only get stitches if people know that you're a snitch. Takemichi saved what's-his-face's life. Aku was trying to save his life.
And he had his own way of doing it.
And he almost caught a body for it. If it wasn't
he had his own way of doing it. Honestly, Akun, you a real thug. Out of everybody on this show.
No. In walks the
realest thugs. The realest.
Okay.
Out of everybody in his little nerdy friend group, Akun is the
because
realest.
he's a leader. He has to be.
True.
He's got to take that. He's literally the leader.
Poor boy just want to be a hairstylist. He got to deal with these nerds.
Like, who made Akun? I mean, I'm glad they made him the leader, but who did?
No.
But who did?
I mean, who was it going to be? The frail boy?
He's the best. He's the best one to do it, but like still, I want to know that initiation.
Out of all of his little friends, I don't remember anybody else but Akun, like their names.
Yeah, no.
And Akun is my favorite.
Akun's,
he's my favorite over Takemichi too.
He's my favorite. I remember them talking about them, like the one with the black hair is the one that can't keep his hands off his dick. the one with the ponytail, he thinks glasses is gonna make him smarter. Not look smarter.
Make him smarter.
Yeah. And then the frail boy, which I think they literally were like, yeah, he's very weak. He can't fight. I literally think that's what he said for him. That's it.
And then Akun was the leader.
And then Akun was just the leader. So this is the whole freaking group is hilarious. But in walks our two favorites. First Draken. I mean, at this moment. I'll say at this moment, our two favorites. Freaking Draken, which in the English version, they say Draken.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Oh, you noticed that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Mikey, which, I mean, there's really no explanation if you've seen the show. They're badass.
How to explain Draken and Mikey? Draken is probably one of my favorite anime characters in general. Not just in this show. In general, I love Draken. He's one of my favorite people ever.
What was so funny about that whole like encounter, like as soon as like you see them both walk up and whatnot, is Takemichi's dumb ass over here saying, oh, "Is this the leader of the Tokyo Manji gang, Sano Manjiro?" And I was like,
you know what's so funny is I didn't even catch that either. And so when she said that, I was like, "Damn, I guess I'm dumb too."
like, dude, it's in his name.
Which is so clever on their end, because I did not catch that the first time or second time I watched it.
I caught it, like, because I feel like they didn't put emphasis on it, but like the fact that he said he said Tokyo Manji Gang and then his full name, like that kind of clicked to me. I'm like, yes. Like, if he said Tomon instead of Tokyo Manji Gang, I wouldn't have caught that, obviously.
Yeah.
But the fact that he said, "Is this," and it was just so isolated too. It was literally just him on the screen. "Is this the leader of Tokyo Manji Gang? Sano Manjiro?" And I think it's because it was English as well that made me catch it. As opposed to, in Japanese, I didn't catch that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first time I watched it, which, Crunchyroll, at this point, I'm very upset with you, that it's in English and not Japanese. But, I digress. It'll be back on there at some point. But yeah, I had to watch
it. HBO Max.
Yeah, I don't have HBO Max anymore. So, unfortunately. Unfortunately. But I am also very confused. Like, after all that, they were like, oh, like, he kicks fucking Kiyomasa's ass.
That was my favorite part. Oh, we forgot to really talk about Kiyomasa and his fucking squad of psychopaths. I mean, they were really the first people I saw who were, I'm like, these are fucking 12-year-olds?
They are the real delinquents right here.
For real.
They need jail time.
In prison.
They need jail time. Because
they're unhinged.
Because they already, I don't know, at this point, did they beat up Takemichi or was that after this?
Yes.
Okay.
They beat up Takemichi because remember
where he was like running away and crying?
Yes. Because remember originally they were trying to go scare the second years at the other school. But Kiyomasa and his squad are the third years at that school.
Yeah.
So they came, I guess, as a way to protect their second years and beat the shit out of Takemichi and Akun and all of them. Honestly, and then made them their slaves. And also, they thought they had it in because Takemichi's cousin said he was the leader.
But he was really their bitch.
He was fronting. He was their bitch.
Yeah. See, in this life, clearly it's every man is for himself. I don't know why you tried to stick up for them. I don't understand. And everybody's a liar. So, like, I don't know why you believed your cousin. Which, honestly, I felt bad for Takemichi because this is 26-year-old Takemichi and not 12-year-old Takemichi. So he completely forgot that he said that his cousin
He's
was
like, my cousin.
Right? He's like, which cousin? And they literally had to tell him which cousin. I was like, I feel so bad because you're about to get their asses beat because of you. Because if 12-year-old you back then, you don't even remember.
Right.
You have no idea what happened. I'm like, oh, man. I just felt so bad. So after all that, Kiyomasa gets his ass beat. We all hate Kiyomasa, obviously. They choose Takemichi, and I don't understand why they chose him to be a part of the gang, but then also, like, such a close ally at that.
He's not a part of the gang at this point.
Or, like, a friend. Choose him as a friend, and then a close friend at that to know all of Tomon's secrets, and he's not a part of the gang.
I mean, I just think it was because in this scene, you really see Takemichi's character. Like, he was beat to a pulp the day before.
Do they know that?
No, but he's already covered in bandages and shit. So whether they know it's the day before,
his ass is bike.
Regardless, his ass is frail. Shouldn't be fighting.
I was going to say, he could have fell off his
black
bike.
eye. You don't get a black eye from falling off a bike.
You don't know that. You don't know that. Depends on how you fall.
If you hit a rock.
Or the handlebars. You fall off and the handlebars go in your eyeball.
I guess so. But, I mean, clearly he's in no position to fight. And he volunteers to fight. And the reason he volunteers to fight is to save his friend. Mm-hmm. And, like, we see that Mikey and Draken, they have their own set of morals, whatever it is. And I think it was just that they saw that Takemichi fit their moral standing, and like they even brought it up later. They were like, you don't see a lot of people who are willing to stick up and protect what they love.
Okay, so I can agree with that, and I can understand why they would be like, you know what, I fucks with you, but maybe not close friends off of first meeting him. Like, if I saw somebody sticking up for somebody like that, I'd be like, yo, we're cool. Like, I'm cool with you because of the fact that you did that. But I don't know if I would, bring you along to everywhere immediately. I would have to get to know you a little bit more, because, like, just because you stuck up for your friend, I mean, you a good person. You can still be you could be Satan.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know you yet. So, like, to bring Takemichi along and to, like, he sees everything that goes down in Tomon because of that, I think that was, like, such an easy friendship that they created. So right
but
off
I think
the
it's
bat.
because, like, because this wasn't like they immediately brought him to, like, a Tomon meeting. Like, they left. And then the next time we see them is when they pull up at his school.
Right. Like, I wouldn't do all that.
I mean, but you could just pull up to your school because you want to hang out with their friend. That wasn't telling any secrets yet.
No, but still, I still don't think that I would have done all that work for somebody that I didn't know yet. Even if they did stick up for their friend.
That just looked like a regular day for them.
Maybe for their friends.
They're so savage for the way they busted up.
They did. Like, they didn't even care. First of
all,
that teacher didn't even, in English at least, the teacher didn't even sound like a teacher. Yeah. Mikey and Draken sounded more manly than the teacher did. And I was, like, so confused because I don't think I was looking at the TV when I heard the teacher talking, and I thought it was a student. And so I looked back and I was like, that was the teacher. I'm like, yo, they got more balls than you. How you feel? How you feel about that?
They got a lot of balls to just waltz up in a school and go straight into the class. You know they had to find out what class he was in. So just imagine how long they was in this school. They didn't know where to find him. They walked up into school, which I'm sure the school has some security.
We don't know how good the security is.
I mean, we don't know how good it is, but they must have had some.
What kind of security?
They usually a school's not like the principal or somebody standing in the front doors as people are coming in.
Ma'am, our school did not have all that. We okay, at one point, closer when we graduated, they did. But freshman year and when my stepbrother was in school, you could walk up in there. Them little old white ladies was not going to do nothing to you.
I guess that's true.
They like, hello, how you doing? You could...
But they had to walk around, find out what class Takemichi's in, all that.
Okay, for our school...
They beat up the whole second year on their way to the class.
For our school, that would have been impossible to find where we were. But for this school, like, you could literally probably... Since they have so much leverage over people, I'm pretty sure they went up to somebody like, hey, do you know Takemichi?
Yeah. I mean, like, they beat up the entire year.
Yeah.
So they found out. That's my whole point.
But the security...
Had a whole journey before they even got to him.
They don't give a fuck about the security. They don't give a fuck about... They probably beat up the security.
My point. They didn't give a fuck about nobody. They didn't even acknowledge the teacher when they walked into his class.
I just don't think that there was security. I honestly don't even think there was security.
This is 2005. Maybe there was not security.
Maybe there wasn't. I don't.
Now that I think
and it's also Japan, where Japan is kind of like more of a safer place than America.
That's true.
This shows the times that we're in.
Yeah.
2022.
I think everybody knows.
Everybody knows, right? Even if you're in the past. Look, or not the past. The future. My bad. We're in the past compared to you in the future. Look at the history books because I'm pretty sure these.
Yeah. In 2005, though, our country was a little more normal.
There was, and it was.
I could see how maybe
2005 Japan might have been
be even better,
different.
Right?
Yeah. So to have no security, I doubt it.
All I know is that shit was savage. Regardless of what year it was savage for these two little boys to walk into the classroom, ignore the teacher, and take him out of class.
And then when they left, they had them all line up, and they're all
hopping on their back.
Yes, I'm just like,
what was the reason?
What was the like? You already walked in the building without them.
You already beat the shit out of all of them.
Why you gotta keep stepping on them? They're like,
it was funny because Takemichi walks on the side. Mm-hmm. As they're hopping on their back.
What's also funny is that they were like, get on your stomachs, and they did it, and then they asked why. They didn't ask before they did it. They laid there, and they were like, by the way, can I ask why? Why are we doing this? So I can, and he didn't even answer. They just started stepping on him.
I know. But in this scene, again, Takemichi proves his character because Hinata came and did probably exactly what I would have done, honestly. Slap them motherfuckers in the face. But Draken grabbed her arm after she did it.
Was she in the class with them?
No, because her and Takamichi aren't in the same class.
Okay, so how the hell she knew that it was Takamichi?
I mean, by that point, everybody was just in the hallway. Maybe class had ended. There was a bunch of people in the hallway.
I was gonna say, I don't think class had ended, no.
Well, there's a bunch.
Because how would they have been able to step on them? There was nobody in the way when they were stepping on them. What made no sense is I remember people being out of the hallway, but I thought it was the people from Takamichi's class and no other classroom. And so that's why I was like, how did she peep that? How does she know that? You know?
All I know is she walked up, she was determined.
She was.
And she slapped the shit out of Mikey.
As long as, like, honestly, in my head, as long as you ain't fucking up my boyfriend, take him.
But she thought that they were fucking up her boyfriend. He's already covered in bandages, and then they're trying to get him to leave the school. I mean, based on what she saw, they're like, oh, come on, let's go. Like, well, first of all, they already beat up 12 other dudes.
Right.
So there's 12 other dudes who are now covered in bruises and beat up. And now here they are talking to Takamichi, who himself is already bruised and beat up. It makes sense that she would connect her own dots and say that they're beating him up.
I still think that she got a little bit too much balls for me.
I don't think that. I think her balls are pretty regular.
But here's the thing. They're delinquents. They don't care. They could have done anything
they could have
to her.
And they told her that.
Right. So I think that she has a little bit too much balls and thinking. Because, like, if you know that somebody could possibly do something to you because they are what they are, they're a part of a gang, I don't think that I would fuck with them as much as I do.
I think it's more of a fact of, like, I think it's more of a fact of, like, she's not exposed
to her parents cops? Her dad was a cop? Okay, maybe that was the reason why she had so many balls, because her dad was a cop.
And then on top of that, like, she's not really exposed in that world anyway, so she doesn't really know what they're capable of. She just sees that they're beating up dudes. She's a girl, so she's not going to assume...
Her dad is a cop. You think her dad didn't teach her to not
she later says that her dad's not around that much.
Oh,
that she doesn't really have a relationship with her dad. So, I mean, at this point, we don't know that, but she does say that later in the show. But I could see her being like that. Like, if you grow up in a neighborhood where you don't see that much, and you also know that guys don't hit girls, like, as far as you don't know of any dudes who hit girls. So if you are thinking a guy is bullying someone, I could see her going in to step up because she knows they're not going to hit her, or she thinks in her head she knows they're not going to hit her.
She thinks she's fucking Superman.
Right. Whereas there are people who would hit her, which is why they told her, they're like, I get what you're doing, but this could have gone wrong. Like, luckily, we aren't the crazy people who would have fucked you up.
And that is the problem that I have.
Yeah. Is
that if she's gonna do this to them and she didn't know that they would hit her or not, or she thought that they would, it fears me that she would do that to anybody.
I know.
It fears me.
I'm just saying that I'm not surprised she did it. It doesn't surprise me that that's what she did. But it is a fact that it could have gone. Like, if it were, what's his name and his psycho punks.
She knows that her dad deals with criminals, though, that they could kill her.
Yeah, they're real criminals. I doubt she's thinking of middle school criminals. These are 12-year-olds who are acting like they're grown men psychopaths. I don't think she's come in contact with that before. The delinquents at her school are Takamichi and his loser friends. They don't have any higher delinquents than that at their school. These are from other schools. These kids came from another school.
I fear for her if she was a real person. And there are people out there that are like that, actually.
Yeah, there are.
And I fear for them. If you think
I was one of those people in high school.
Yeah. And I feared
But I wouldn't do that today. I've learned. You grow and you learn that there are multiple types of people in life. Just because they didn't go to your school doesn't mean that everybody at everybody else's school.
You didn't catch no vibes then. If you were able to do that, you didn't catch no wrong vibes fucking with the people?
No. Because we grew up in Milton. There were no people like that.
Well, you just said that you would, though.
I did.
Or because you grew up in Milton.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that's how I was when I was in high school. I was like how Hinata was. But I went to school with people like Takamichi.
This is a person who came from New York saying this.
I was born in New York. I never went to school in New York.
Okay.
Except for college.
I guess I'm different because I knew people. I lived in southern Georgia. I know that there are people and things that happened. There was half of a crime scene in my backyard.
See?
Evidence of a crime scene. I won't say that anybody got killed in my backyard, but there's evidence of a crime scene in my backyard. So
everybody comes from a different
But I thought that since you were from New York, that I was like, oh, she probably saw some shit when she went back, but...
I mean, yeah, when I went back, for sure.
Oh, okay.
But that's not where I lived. I knew the people where I lived wasn't like that.
Oh.
I wouldn't go to Compton and go slap someone in the face. But like I said, I lived in Milton. I will slap someone in the face in Milton.
Well, a white boy, yes. They ain't gonna do shit.
Man. It wasn't a white person, but either way, anybody in Milton.
Back to, what was going on. Her slapping the fuck out of Draken. It was Draken.
Honestly, when Draken grabbed her arm, I was like, what's about to happen? Is he really about to fuck with Hinata?
I knew that something was gonna stop it. I didn't think that he was actually gonna do something because, even though we just met Draken, I just feel like he just wouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
I don't think that
which
he
is
would
why,
have done it.
For some reason, I thought that too. But then when I saw him grab her, I got worried. I was like, wait, I thought you were better than those.
I was about to say he over there beat the fuck out of Kiyomasa. Yeah. Why would he beat up Kiyomasa and save Takemichi from being killed? Mm-hmm. And then go back and hit a girl.
That's why I was confused.
So that's why I was like, oh, it just doesn't, it wouldn't make any sense that honestly, if that did happen, if he did hit Hinata, I don't think that I would like him.
No.
Because I wouldn't have liked him.
Of course not.
I would have been like, you cool on other aspects, but I'll keep going back to the fact that you hit a girl. For what reason? When you were saving Takemichi, you go hit his girlfriend? Right in front of him? Like, are you stupid?
Yeah. But gladly, they didn't, because they're, like I said, the best characters in anime.
Yes.
They're great. Both him and Mikey are. I only talked about Draken, but Mikey is also great.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mikey, too.
What really got me is when, finally, crazy enough, Takemichi actually left school. What really got me is when they were riding somewhere on their bikes. First of all, Mikey was on Takemichi's bike. How did he get there? He rode on Draken's bike. Why the fuck did you ride on Draken's bike back? Number one. Number two, Mikey talking about how Takemichi reminds him of his brother. I said, that is the biggest insult that you could ever tell somebody. That is the biggest...
No. That's an insult to his brother.
Yes! Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's not an insult to Takemichi.
No. It's an insult that you could have ever... The biggest insult that you could have ever said to for a person. Mm-hmm. His brother. Never met his brother. Have no idea. But the way you're raised, there ain't no way your brother is like Takemichi. How they raise your brother to be Takemichi, but then you like this? I mean, not raise you, but how you turn out like this.
Right.
If your brother is supposedly like Takemichi. I did not believe that shit. I was like, you got me fucked up.
But it was his reasoning, which is, like I said, it was because of the fact that he was willing to protect what was dear to him. And
he just didn't see the
regardless of the fact that he was going to get the shit beat out of him. That didn't scare him from still protecting what was important to him. So I think it's just that virtue that stood out to Mikey. Not per se that they're very much alike. I think it's just the fact that they both have the same type of moral standing.
He didn't see that. He didn't see the crybaby part of Takemichi yet.
I guess that's true.
And that's why he can say that he's like his brother, because he didn't see that. If he started crying, he'd be like, all right, you're not like my brother. My brother don't cry for stupid shit. So, you're not the same. Sorry. So, how about you? What was something that really got you? That got me, the whole brother. What got you?
What do you mean, what got me?
What was something about the show that really was like, I can't see it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm reaching, but I know I'm not. So I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
Y'all can say it's a reach. It's not a reach. Takemichi gets sent back in time into his 12-year-old body. Mm. Fine. But mentally, he is still a 26-year-old man.
Yeah, because he can recall things that haven't happened yet.
Right.
That are going to happen because he's 26.
Right. And mentally, he lived 26 years, so he has the mentality of a 26-year-old man. Why is he still dating Hinata and going on dates with Hinata and being all like...
Okay, the still dating Hinata, he's playing the role. But everything else after that, weird.
Right, I'm not saying break up with Hinata as your past self because you're now mentally 25.
But the things you're doing...
But it's the things he's doing that is a little weird to me. I guess nothing he's done has super crossed the line. I think it's just how okay he is with dating a 12-year-old who's still mentally 12 when he's literally 26. I think, and I'm not trying to validate this,
But I'm trying to get in the fucked up mind of a 26-year-old playing as a 12-year-old.
I mean, he's like falling in love with her all over again.
The reason I feel like he's like forgetting that because of the fact that she died, and he's like thinking of these are, as of right now, these are the only moments that I have, and I couldn't remember them when I was 26 before all of this time travel stuff happened. So I think he's just basically trying to relive those moments. Like I said, not trying to say that, oh, it's okay for a mentally 26-year-old and 12-year-old's body to still date or to go on these dates and kiss this girl and all that stuff. But I'm just trying to put myself in that, like, if it was the last time I was going to see, or the possible last time I remember seeing this person, because remember, he left his town after middle school and pursued other things, I could kind of understand why he wants to cherish these moments as much as he does. It still is weird, it's yes, totally when weird. You think about it, because I didn't peep the fact that he was a 26-year-old in a 12-year-old's body the first time I watched it, and honestly not this time either, until she said something about it.
I did both times.
But I can see.
I think it's mostly because of the fact that, like, he brings up so often how he's like a 26-year-old version and he hasn't accomplished anything in life. So I feel like he's taking this role of being Hinata's boyfriend a little bit too seriously as someone who is in fact 26 and lives in the future. Like,
because it'd be different if he was playing the role just being the nice boyfriend by, like, you know, giving her flowers, chocolate like a boyfriend of any age would do or whatever. But to, like, go on the date and, like, say the things that he says in his head about Hinata at that age, because he doesn't say these things as if he's looking at 26-year-old Hinata. He's saying this stuff as looking at 12-year-old Hinata.
Yeah, like he's re-falling in love.
No, I definitely get it.
12-year-old
I definitely
as a 26-year-old man. That's what's bothering me.
I definitely get it.
And then that scene where he goes in his room and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the first time I was in a girl's room." I'm like, first of all, I'm not gonna judge you for being 26 and this is the first time in a girl's room or whatever.
It's sad that he hadn't even been in a girl's room as a 12-year-old, and then this is the first time
as a 26-year-old
back in the past.
Right.
So even
how giddy he is
even
about it.
In the 12 years after that, he's never been in a girl's room, and that's where it's like, it's sad, but like, what the fuck? That's creepy.
No, like, instead it was just like, damn, like, you really are pathetic, but like, not even pathetic. I won't say you're pathetic, but it's just like, damn, like, really? Like, not even, you don't have friends? Like, I don't know. Because he's so giddy about it. Like, he's in the room literally, like, losing his shit. Like, oh my god, it's a girl's room. Blah, 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 blah. Like, he's not a 26-year-old man.
If Takemichi, because I can't, Takemichi as 20-something-year-old Takemichi, I wouldn't say is a bad-looking guy.
I mean, he totally looks like a dork.
He looks like a dork, but, like, there are dork girls out there.
Yeah, find your counterpart.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out as to why the fuck this is the first time he's been in here as a 12-year-old, 26-year-old.
Yeah. And the part that, it's just, like you said, if he was playing a role, it would be different. Like, if he went in his house, or in her house, and he's like, okay, like, I just need to get some more information about this topic. But it's the fact that he's in there.
He's never been in Hinata's room at 12 years old.
He's
That's
like
his girlfriend. Like,
about to piss himself about being in this room. Like, struggling to control himself while he's in this 12-year-old's room.
I can't. I definitely do understand it. I do understand it. But I can also understand my way of, like, him trying, this is the last time. It would have been better if she was older, or if his mindset wasn't back at 26, but then if it was not 26, it'd be at 12 years old, and he wouldn't know that anything was happening or going to happen.
Right.
So it's a weird concept. I'm pretty sure people are like, oh my god, it's so sweet, but at the same time, it is, when you think about it deeply, it is kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. It is sweet.
It is sweet.
But it's also weird. Just because of the age thing. And then how big of the gap it is. 12 years.
I mean, even if it wasn't that big of a doggone gap, 16 and 12 would have been weird, too.
Yes.
That would have been freaking weird.
But more understandable than 26.
Yes.
By 26, you should really know better.
You could probably agree on this, but what made no sense to me is him, like, he goes back, he thinks that he's, at this point, doesn't he think that he saved Hinata? At this point?
At what point?
At the point where he goes back to the future and then he calls up Akun. Does he think at this point? Okay. So he thinks at this point. Does he?
No.
He doesn't think at this point.
I think he just
so happened to go back. Because he was like, I can't do this anymore. And so he went to Naruto and was like, bring me back.
Was that the time, or was that the time when he accidentally shook Naruto's hand?
Maybe.
Either way, he does go back, and he did not save Hinata yet, but he goes back realizing that Akun is still alive and that he's now an upper echelon of Toman, and that he can reach out to him.
Yeah. But he reaches out to him after 12 years. And does that not seem weird to you?
Okay, here's another thing that bothered me. I totally forgot. Here's another thing that bothered me. Let's think of real world for a second. Toman in the future, or the present, because they're in the past. So in the present is this huge gang that's terrorizing Tokyo, full of murderers. Akun runs a brothel, basically. Like, everything they do is freaking illegal. So they're super wanted by the country, or the city, whatever.
The country.
All of Japan. But, it's not like they're just some regular two-timing thugs. Like, they are the big
regular
thug.
people.
You know what I mean? Like, they're the big, like, the police are after them.
Right.
Right? It's been 12 years. He hasn't talked to this man in 12 years. Number one, what big-time gangster still has the same number that they had from middle school?
If you didn't say big time gangster, I'd have been like, I have the same number since middle school, but big time gangster.
I'm a big time gangster on the run. The police know who I am. They know my
face is plastered
They
everywhere.
know my identity. So I'm supposed to have a burner phone. I take out the chip. I stomp on it. Whatever. I do the same phone I've had since I was 12. Why haven't they found him by now? Number one, like, how he been getting away this whole time? Number two, immediately, Takemichi and Naruto have straight narc vibes. Straight narc vibes. Like, as an upper echelon person in a gang, you're supposed to be so, like, you're cautious.
But he's not cautious. But that's his fault. That's Akun's fault right there. Because it's like, first of all, he called you up there, the same number that you always had, number one. Number two, when you get on the phone with him, you agree so willingly to meet up. Because, like...
And not only just to meet up, to have him come to your brothel.
Right. And because, like, if I had not seen... If one of us was in a gang at some point, and I had not seen you for years, even though we grew up together for however many years before we split, I'm not going to trust you.
Exactly.
I'd be like, dang, all those memories with Nia, but I'm going to still be like...
Especially when I'm a person living off the grid who murders people
for a living.
And you come on over to my brothel. Come meet all my other gang members.
I'll show you a good time.
I'll introduce you to all the girls.
And then you could pick one you want for the night. and then on top of that, he brings Naruto. And then right then and there, like, I would think, like, if I was Akun, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I might have fucked up and told him not to come alone, but at the same time, but then at that moment, I'd be like, I only agreed to you.
Right.
Homeboy got to stay down here.
And what he did when he was like, I want to speak to you alone, like that.
But I still would have been like, you need to leave.
Right?
You need to leave because
like, who the fuck is this?
Right. And I would have patted him down and everything. I would have been like, because like, okay, you came with this friend. You might have already thought in your head that I was going to split you up. So you might have planted a wire on you. So, like, I'm going to pat you down, like, lift up your shirt, wear it at.
I would think that for Takemichi himself. Because any cop could have just called him and been like, hey, I know you used to be friends with Akun. We want you to do this. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly he calls him up. I mean, it's suspicious. Especially right after the whole thing with Hinata. Like, that festival thing just happened a few days ago. And now suddenly Takemichi's calling me. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard from you in 12 years. That's weird.
Like, you seem like you're trying to catch me because of the fact of what I did.
Exactly. And I felt so validated as soon as he got up to the roof and he's like, that guy you brought a cop. But I was like, thank you!
But it's still like, you are talking to him about information and he could still be wearing a wire. Even after you say, oh, that guy's a cop, you still don't do any precautions to make sure.
I mean, I guess at this point, he was already like, fuck it.
I mean, yeah, I guess at this point he was like, fuck it. He's like, I'm gonna jump off this building anyway. So like, any information you're gonna get, you can't catch me if I'm not here.
This entire scene to me was such a huge mindfuck.
I thought it was gonna be. I thought the show was gonna be a little wild. I also didn't fully expect everything that we're delving into to happen at all in this show. But I knew it was gonna be a little wild. But I wasn't expecting.
I didn't know it was gonna be that wild. I wasn't expecting, number one, Akun knew he time traveled. That already blew my mind. I was confused by that.
Wait, he
number
did?
two, yes, because Akun's the one who pushed him onto the tracks. Didn't expect that either.
Oh my gosh! I forgot that he said that.
Yes. Another thing that blew my mind.
Because earlier in this episode, I was thinking, I was like, we find out who pushes him on the tracks, but in my head, I was literally like, but I can't remember who that is. I know we find out who it is, but I don't know when and who. It was fucking Akun.
In this scene. And then he's like, how? Like, he rationalizes himself, like, there's no way. And he knew it was Naruto who saved him. He's like, there's no way he would have been able to save you. Like, he was ready to save you before I even pushed you. Like, you traveled from the past.
The future.
The future. Into the past. To come
back
back
to the future.
To come back to the future.
Back to the future? Naruto and Takamichi version.
Right.
But was so, okay, delving deep into that, what in Akun's life would have made him think that? What happened that Takamichi did or said, I don't even know if you thought about this, that made Akun go back and think about all the times Takamichi was around and like how he, like, because my thing is like, if you said something last week to me and it was future you talking to me, but I didn't realize at the moment, but then like I sat here and thought, you said something real suspicious. I would have never done that. You could have said anything to me last week. We talk literally every day. You could have said anything to me last week. And I would have never imagined, that was a little sus. I think Nia's from the fucking future.
Right. The same here. That's why I was like, why would he even think? Why would that
Where
even
did that come from? I wonder if we find out what it is.
I don't know. And for him, I mean, he explained it as the fact that, like, I mean, the way Naruto saved him, there's no way he would have known that was coming. But to get to that point, someone from the past told him that was going to happen.
Right. I was like, that right there was like him trying to validate his thought process.
But the fact that you landed there to begin with.
The fact that you tried to kill Takamichi.
Right.
Like, you could have done anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this whole scene was a mindfuck. And then what happens next? He jumps off the building. Now, I screamed. I had to pause the episode. I had to stop.
I think the first time I watched it, I just I went.
I had to pause it.
I paused it and I was like, I remember sitting there for a good 3 minutes.
Took such a toll on me.
And I just don't know, like, I don't even know how I processed that. Because I definitely had to unpause it and continue watching after knowing that Akun just outed himself.
Like, first of all, this was the moment where I realized what type of anime this was.
Right. This ain't no, oh my god, they're so cute. They're in a gang. They think that they're hot shit.
Because not only did he jump off the roof,
they let you see
Takamichi looked over and they showed us his splattered brains on the ground.
They didn't just show him looking over and not his body.
They showed us his splattered brains all over the sidewalk.
Oatmeal on the ground.
I was so scarred by this. First of all, I just said I love Akun, so I was so scarred by this.
Like,
and I loved him even more in the future with his little sleeves and stuff. I was like, oh,
his
look
little
at
short
him.
hair. I hate the little pompadour bullshit he had in his head.
I was like, what are these hairstyles?
But I liked the shave, this little shave scruff.
I was so depressed when he did that. I felt for Takumi. Now that was one time where he started screaming, crying, where it was totally made sense.
Yes.
I would have been traumatized.
Be emotional, all you want at that moment.
I would have been traumatized. And even when he went back to the past and the first person he was with was Akun, I also would have started crying. Like bawling.
Akun would have been like, get off me. Why the fuck are you crying so much?
I know, right? Yeah, no, that was intense for sure.
Is this the first time that we learned about Kiseki?
It's not the first time we learn about him, because before he goes back in the past, we already know.
But we get more information about Kiseki, right?
This is the first time we see him, because he's on the roof listening when Akun jumps off. Which is another mind trip. Why the fuck is he up there listening, and why is he like smirking like he knows what's going on?
Right. I was like, how did you know? How did you know that I was gonna be here? Another thing. How did you know I was gonna be here to look at me like?
Who the fuck is Kiseki, and what is his deal? That's all I want to know at this point.
So now, because I didn't peep the fact that like he was up there and he knew to be up there at that moment. So it's like, does he also know?
He must know, because he's the one who's trying to kill Takemichi. It must be because he can time travel.
That is true.
Why else? It's been 12 years.
I just thought that he thought Takemichi was annoying the first time I watched it.
He don't even know Takemichi. You gotta remember that Takemichi doesn't even know who Kiseki is. Why would he have a hit out on him to be pushed out into the traps? Doesn't make sense. And it's also been 12 whole years since he was even in Tomon. How do you know anything about Takemichi? Why are you triggered by him that you have to go murder him when all he does is look at porno magazines and work at the Blockbuster up the street?
What makes no sense is that it took so long to kill him, to try to kill him. Because it's not like Takemichi is really hard to find. Yeah, so it's really weird that it took him. But like, my thing is, if he knew that he was from the future and he wanted to get rid of him somehow, I don't know what this would mean. Why didn't you do it earlier? Like, why was it 12 years? What made it a 12-year long stint that now today you make Akun try to kill him?
Right, because it seems like him being pushed onto the tracks was the catalyst. Yes, it was planned, but it seemed like it was the catalyst for Takemichi being able to travel back in the past in the first place, because he wasn't able to until that. And yet that was already Kiseki ordering him to be killed.
This is a mindfuck. I was gonna say, this is how time travel is a mindfuck, because it wasn't for Kiseki getting Akun to push him off there. He would have never time traveled. But it's like, when does this loop start?
Exactly.
Because at some point the loop had to just run. Because this loop, I feel like, wasn't a thing that always was there. It was just like one time. It just, I don't know. It's really weird to explain that shit.
Because they haven't explained it to us. How can we
But even in other shows, and even in other shows with loops like this, it's like, where was the very start of it?
The only other show I can think of that has a loop is Attack on Titan.
But like, there has to be a start of it. And it's like, what started it all? You know what I mean? There has to be a start to something. A loop just isn't loop just to loop. It has to start somewhere. And that's where it's like, how long has Kiseki, if he is a time traveler, how long has he been making Akun push Takemichi off? He's been reliving this moment for how long? How old is this man if this is actually a thing?
I don't know.
Like, in real deal life, how old is this man? Because he has to be way older for that to make sense. He can't just be his age all the time.
I mean, Takemichi is. Every time he goes through a loop.
Yeah, but it's like, it was unknowing at some point.
Yeah.
It seems like Kiseki has always known that he has known that he could do this longer than Takemichi knew that he could do this. So that's why I'm like, is he actually 20-something now, or 12, or however he is at that point? Or is he really just one of those people like Doctor Strange, where they're just in the multiverse all the time, and like, they know their existence is known, that they are special?
I don't know, because
this is crazy. This is getting real deep as fuck, bro.
About Kiseki at this point. I mean, like I said, this is our first time even seeing him. I know that Takemichi walked past him at some point. I don't remember if that was before or after this.
That was before.
Okay. In the past, he walks by him.
Yeah, like, I thought it was on the bike. Or in that.
No, he's walking. They were walking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember when exactly that happened then. But so they're back in the future. I was about to say past. They're back in the future, and Nato and Takemichi talk about the fact that because he says something about Draken. I think Takemichi says something about Draken, and Nato's like, oh, Draken's dead. Like, Draken died literally like a week after the day that you just came back from. Or
what I don't understand is, why he doesn't remember that. Because that happened in the original timeline.
Because he wasn't a part of it. He just now put himself in that gang. If he wasn't in the gang, he wouldn't have known about it. Okay. And so now he's devastated about it because he's just now getting information about it. So Draken is dead, and they're like, oh yeah, he dies on this day. And then like also Naoto knows that it was an inside job. And I'm just like, well, how did you, because he says, he's like, not an inside job. He says that Mikey and no, I don't think he said Mikey. I think he said Mikey and Draken had there was an internal conflict, but he didn't at this moment realize that the internal conflict would have spiraled into Draken dying.
Naoto did not know that at all.
Naoto did say that they had an internal conflict.
He did, but he didn't know that it was caused by something else. Like
that's what I'm saying. He said Draken died this night. Him and Takemichi had Mikey had a disagreement of falling out. That's what I'm saying. He didn't know that it would have turned into any of this stuff. He just knew, point blank period, they were on good terms at some point.
Right.
But my thing is like, how did you know that when they were 12? Like, how is that documented?
Because I'm sure there was like a write-up of what happened.
But how would...
Because they knew that it was like a fight between 50 delinquents or whatever. Because he read the article or whatever. And it was like, there was a fight between 50 delinquents. One delinquent in his third year of middle school was stabbed in the abdomen and killed. So I guess from reading that, it makes it seem like, oh, it must have been
that does not scream that it was an inside job. That seems like whoever he was fighting killed him, not that the internal.
But he didn't say it was an inside job. The way he said it, he was like Mikey and Draken were fighting, and Draken got killed. So the way Naoto said it,
but then he also said something about another gang and them fighting at that time as well. So like it was like kind of up in the air, was the killing Mikey or the gang. When I was watching it the first time, I just immediately thought it was the gang because I was like, there's no way that Mikey was the one that did it. So like when he said that, is the way he said it, it could have been interpreted the way that you did, or the way that I interpreted, where I thought that it was the gang that they were fighting, which was Mobius. I don't know if they said that it was Mobius specifically at that time, but I just thought it was really weird because how would they have known? How would the papers have known that they were fighting if somebody didn't tell them that to put in the paper? But who? Mikey wouldn't have said that.
No, but one of the other members might have.
But why? They're Tomon for life. They what?
Because at that point now somebody dead. Our second commander is dead. Like this is a whole different thing than what I signed up for. I ain't signed up for all this.
Nah.
I ain't signed up for all this.
Nah. Listen. No, I still don't think that after all that, like,
I don't think so either. Especially knowing the members of Tomon, like, maybe Pet his bitch ass.
Maybe. That is true. Because I forgot about Pet.
Because we find out later, once he goes back, that Pet was the one who caused this in the first place. Right. So it probably was Pet.
Yeah, I forgot about the fact that Pet turned on them. Okay, let's go to what happened with that. So...
Well, first we have to go back to what happened with Pa.
Well, yeah. Okay. What I mean, what happened with that, the catalyst that made Pet doing that is what happened to Pa. Yeah. Okay. So I was shocked as hell. Like, this literally, like, was just as shocking as Akun falling off or jumping off the doggone building and seeing his oatmeal brains splattered all over freaking concrete. Was the fact that Pa's friend, I can't even remember why, but Pa's friend got beat up with his girlfriend there watching, and then his friend's girlfriend got raped in front of him. And then after all that conflict, they still went back to Pa's friend's parents and beat the hell out of his siblings and his mother and father.
These 12-year-olds.
And I was just like, what made, like, okay, beating up him, yes. Raping his girlfriend? A 12-year-old raping another 12-year-old.
And then going to go beat up the parents?
And the parents actually getting their asses kicked? It's crazy to me. Yeah. And then she ends up in a coma.
For 5 days.
And then what made me so, like, so all of that, like, was crazy. And then, like, them at the hospital because why was Mike?
They went to the hospital.
They were there for somebody.
They went for the girlfriend. Draken brought Mikey there to, like, pay
But what
respects.
about Takemichi? Why was Takemichi there?
Because he was following Draken.
Oh, that's right. He was following them so that they wouldn't fight or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was so upset when the parents were like, it's all your fight.
I love that part, by the way, where Takemichi goes to go follow Draken. I love that part.
Why?
I mean, just seeing how, because you see more of how Draken and Mikey act and interact.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then you get the backstory.
Yeah.
Like, I really love that part.
But it was really crazy. I was very upset when the parents were like, this is all your fault, da da da. And I was just like, it's not,
It's
because they weren't there.
That they would react that way.
It is understandable that they would act that way. I kind of was annoyed by Mikey being like, what the fuck? Like, yes, I just said that it wasn't their fault. But like Draken be like, I'm so sorry. But like, I don't know. If it wasn't for Pa and his friend being the kind of people that they were, it might not have happened. Does that make sense? Like, Pa being friends with that dude and then the girlfriend being girlfriends. It just, I don't know. It was fucked up that they turned on them, but at the same time, the reaction did make sense. And then Mikey being all high and mighty and Draken being like, shut the hell up and just bow. Like, just say you're sorry. There are some times where you just need to be the bigger person, and it's crazy that this 12-year-old is over here being the bigger person in front of these adults, but obviously they don't think that they're doing that. They just think that, yeah, you better fucking bow to me, motherfucker. Like,
and this is why I love Draken. He's so wholesome. He's such a great guy.
He is,
and he was raised in a whorehouse, and still is able to respect women. That didn't stop him from respecting women.
That didn't. No, it didn't.
So what's everybody else's excuse?
What was so crazy, what's funny to me is that, like, his mom's a prostitute, he lives in a brothel, and he was taken really good care of. Like, people think that, like, oh, brothels are so, like, this and that, and who knows? There are some that probably are like that.
I've never been to one.
I've never been to one, right. I've never been to one. But, like, I feel like if there's a fellow brothel member who has a child, you're not going to be shithead to them. And so he was taken very well care of.
But she left. She just left him there.
That doesn't mean that I'm not going to take care of him. He's still a kid.
No, yeah, I know.
He's still a kid.
It's great that everybody else is better than how his mother was.
This shows that just because you're a stripper or in a brothel that you're not low life and that you don't care about anybody because you actually they can be nice people. They
and
can
just
be bad
because
people.
you're raised in not very traditional circumstances doesn't mean you can't be a good person.
Right. What had me rolling is when he walks up into the brothel, or he's in the brothel, he's eating breakfast, whatever, he's getting ready for school, and one of the girls are like, oh, hey, Draken or Kenny, how you doing? You want to tug before school? And I was like, what? And he literally immediately goes, no, thank you. And I'm like, you say that like you've had it done before, and he has. There's no way that boy hadn't. It was
Draken
so nonchalant.
So funny to me, like his whole way he was when he was in 5th grade, getting the fucking tattoo on his head, right? Up, like the way everybody was bowing to him when he showed up on the scene.
Hey, but that I guess that's like the you
do what you want when you popping.
Do what you want when you popping, like the status that you have when you live in a brothel, I guess. Like,
and you're taller than all the other.
You're taller, yeah. You're literally like a whole foot taller than all of them. So like, everybody's scared of you. Everybody thinks that you're older than you actually are. But that show, I was like, that's not the kind of taken care of that I was actually talking about when I said that he was well taken care of. Just to let you know.
But that is what was happening.
But that was the well taken care of that he is.
That was happening.
Getting.
My favorite part was when he meets Mikey. Mm-hmm. Because Mikey's already adorable, but 5th grade Mikey was even more freaking adorable. His little haircut.
I know. I really was expecting, because the fact that like Draken still had the like mohawk type of thing starting up, and then the tattoo, that I was expecting to see Mikey with just longer hair, just younger looking. So when I saw him with his little haircut, I was like, oh my god.
So cute. And So sad. When I tell
You
you,
look a toddler.
when I tell you this, I mean, I already loved Mikey, but when he ran up and ran and jump kicked this man, didn't even speak a word, didn't say shit.
Right, like because it's like if you're this badass of a kid, somebody's looking for you. That's a problem, and that there needs to be no words, all action.
And that was what he was about.
Yes,
He was like, "All right, I'll come."
he's like, all right, that's fine.
That shit was fucking hilarious. I loved that scene.
Oh my gosh, and the start of a friendship,
A beautiful friendship.
a beautiful friendship, and then Mikey or Draken still ended up being like. That right there showed you who was more mature, I guess. Who was really about the action, who was the mediator.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey all about the action, Drac is the mediator. That's why you always see Draken come up on the scene first. Because he needs to like scout out what is gonna happen to be like, okay,
as soon as Mikey shows up, it's 0 to 1.
But I'm just saying, like, no, it's like he has to scout the scene and be like, should I let Mikey out the cage? Or should I keep him in? Is it worth it? Okay, it's worth it. All right, Mikey, you got it.
No,
go.
literally.
Go. Drop. Wah! Like,
flip-flop to the face.
Right, flip-flop to his face.
A chancla straight
A chancla. Whatever they're called in Japan because they got the little stilts on them. So it's not even flip-flops. I don't know what the hell they're called. I forgot. But, yeah, like, that was really nice, the whole friendship. And I like that Draken looks like he is all about the action. And he is when he absolutely needs to. Mikey is ask questions later. Draken will ask questions first. And so he looks scary. Yeah, Draken looks scarier than Mikey. So you would think that Draken would do the most damage. But Mikey does the first damage.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love their little friendship dynamic.
I know.
Like, why is Mikey pitching fits over kids' meals? Why is Draken ready for the fit with spare flags? How often does this happen?
That's the first time I've ever seen a 12-year-old actually act like a 12-year-old in the show. No other times do they actually act like a child. They act like grown-ass men.
Yeah. The motorcycles,
like, what? I mean,
honestly, the first time I rode a motorcycle, I was in elementary school.
Okay, you rode it, you didn't drive it.
I did have my own motorcycle in elementary school.
A motorcycle and a motorbike are two different things.
I had a motorcycle.
There's no way.
I promise you, you can ask my mom when we get off of this.
I don't even think it was a
All
motorcycle.
All of us had motorcycles. We had 2 dirt bikes and
bike.
I didn't have the dirt bike because those are too those were too much. I forgot the name of the ones that I had. Mine was yellow, but it was a legit motorcycle.
There's no way that they gave you a
mini
motorcycle.
I promise you.
Maybe y'all thought it was, but that's not. You have to have your driver's license to operate.
I didn't say I legally had this motorcycle.
How much was this motorcycle?
I didn't buy it.
Nah,
my stepdad bought us all motorcycles. My mom was pissed. They were real motorcycles.
I don't believe that.
Listen. She's gonna call my mom after this episode, and next time we talk about this,
your mother could say it's a motorcycle, but it actually was called like a motorbike.
You think my mom doesn't know what a motorcycle or motorbike is?
Maybe it's a miniature motorcycle, so it wasn't
it was not
legal
because he was also driving them around.
Topic. Anyway, this is all getting cut out anyway. What are we talking about?
We're talking about 12-year-olds riding motorcycles.
Oh yeah, 12-year-olds riding motorcycles. It makes no sense.
You know, maybe the laws are different in Japan.
It's not.
It's not because they did
they let you know that like you have to be a certain age, which I don't think it was very far off from their age. Mm-hmm.
Now that's different than here.
Like maybe it was like 14 or 15. Over here, I think you have to have a regular driver's license before you get even a motorcycle license, and then that's a completely different license on top of your regular license.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on.
They go back to the future, and they talk to the Mobius leader.
Mm-hmm. Osanai, I think his name was.
Osanai, yeah, mm-hmm. And he informs them because before we talked about the fact that we talked about that. Naoto said that there was an internal conflict, but we didn't know like what it actually was. Mm-hmm. He informs them that they split up into the Draken and Mikey faction. It was internal conflict, and there was like, it was an inside job. Draken dying was an inside job. And so that's when we think, or that's when I think at least, that it had something to do with Mikey's faction. Not Mikey per se, but Mikey's faction that did something about it. Because, like, obviously, if you're on Mikey's side, you want Draken gone.
Because you want points with Mikey.
You want points with Mikey, and you want, Draken's faction to kind of fall back into Mikey's, because now Draken's dead and you have no leader at this point. So I was like, dang, an unknown stabber in this, and Draken's dead. And I was kind of like, I was really upset, because I'm just like, is Mikey's people really, like, I wasn't mad at Mikey's, because I remember watching this, I wasn't mad at Mikey. I was just like wondering, when is it going to happen? Who is it going to be? Am I going to cry? Yes. That was a given already. It didn't matter who did it. Draken could have stabbed himself.
Just finding out he died was enough.
Draken could have stabbed himself because he was done with it, and I would have cried.
Yeah, are you kidding me? I probably would have cried harder.
So.
That were the case. Like how I did for Akun.
Like, it just, yeah. And then they went to the festival. This is when they went to the festival.
No.
It's not?
He goes back and actually tries to stop the fight between Toman and Mobius first.
Oh, that's right. And then this is
real bold.
Yeah. And this is when Pa stabs Akun. Asanai. And I was just like, because right then and there, I was like, all right, cool, it stopped. Asanai's done. And I was like, okay.
But we already saw him in the future, though.
Right. And I was like, when I mean done, I meant like before he got stabbed. I was like, all right, he's going to choose a better life. He's alive. Oh, he's there. Yeah. Once Pa stabbed him, I was like, so was this inevitable? Or is it because Mikey was a new factor in it, and this is what made Pa stab him? You know what I mean? Because, like, if Mikey wasn't, or if Takemichi wasn't there, I think I might have said Mikey earlier. If Takemichi wasn't there, then there would have not been any, like, don't do it, no fighting between, all of them. It would have just been Pa being like, I'm going to fuck him up. And then they're like, no. And then it's like, no, I'm going to do it. And then he does it. As opposed to now, Takemichi's in the mix. And he's like arguing with them to not do it. And then Pa is getting annoyed by it. And he's like, you know what? You're pissing me off more. I'm just going to kill him anyway. So at first I was like, was this always supposed to happen? Or is this a product of Takemichi's annoying ass?
All I know is that I really don't know what he expected when he ran up in there talking about, don't fight Mobius. You can't fight Mobius. With no reasons as to why you can't fight Mobius.
And I mean, he couldn't. He had no. I
know that he had
pastime facts to bring that up,
and
which
I know
is stupid.
That. But the fact that he knew that and still did what he did, still just ran up in there in a gang meeting that he's not a part of. Mm-hmm. He's not even in this gang.
How does he even know? How do you know that they were there?
I don't know. I guess because they're friends and maybe they told him that's where they're going to be. I don't know. But like, he was hella. Honestly, I was getting pissed off because it seemed like he was about to cause a fight between Mikey and Draken. Because before this moment, we had never seen Mikey and Draken disagree or fight about anything until Draken was like, maybe we should hear him out. Like, he's really passionate about this. And Mikey's like, are you against Toman? And Draken's like, that's not what I said. He's like, that's what I heard. I was like, shit.
I was like, I'm on both ends. Like, do what you got to do, but at the same time, you really about to.
I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't blame them for plotting the revenge on Pa's friend. Like, I
didn't know for sure.
Like, what response would you have?
That's gotta happen.
Gang. Like, you're in a gang. Gotta happen. You can't just do nothing. Mm-hmm. They got raped, beat up his parents, his siblings. Like, that's the biggest level of disrespect I've ever heard in my life.
But like teaching him a lesson, but killing him.
But they never said they were going to kill him. They said they were going to go to war with Mobius.
I know, but I'm talking about Pa. Like,
Pa took it too far.
Yeah. Pa.
Mikey never said they was going to
No. But in the instance of Pa, it's like, okay, you can teach him a lesson, give him revenge, and, like, make him your bitch. But, like, to kill him knowing that, like, there's a possibility that you could get in trouble, like, for that. Like, that's taking it too far. And also, Pa is a part of Toman. He knows that Mikey and Draken would have never wanted that to happen. And he just let his anger get to him because it's like gang members are always there for you, so like we're gonna find revenge, we're gonna do something to make what just happened equal. For some gang members, some gangs will actually kill the person, but for them they're gonna make it so that it's what they get is 10 times worse without killing them, because obviously we're 12-year-olds. We're 12-year-olds, and even they were shocked as hell when he's like, you brought even Draken, you brought a knife. Like, what? And I was just, and then Mobius, the guys were gonna leave.
My thing is,
They're
what
gonna
pissed me
leave
off about this
Osanai.
scene is that it was already settled. I mean, I get it, because Paul got his ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Mikey already avenged you by whooping Asanai's ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then Draken avenged you further by...
I think it's the pride thing, because Pa was the one that wanted to fight him and give him the lesson.
I guess so, but it just pissed me off because it was already resolved perfectly. Like, Draken was like, all right, y'all are my bitches now, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but I can understand in that sense, because men, they have a lot of pride. They want to be able to do things themselves, and the fact that he got his ass beat, his pride was stripped away, and so I feel like he felt like they had to come in to help me. They had to come in and step in and beat him up for me, because I was out of commission because he whipped my ass.
Right. I can see that.
And
but
so
here's what
he had
really
to
makes
stab
no
him.
sense. This is the catalyst for Pet turning on Toman
Literally,
and plotting Draken's death.
Literally, all that we've just talked about is going back to when we first started talking about Pet, and we had to talk about why Pet got like this by talking about Pa.
Because it makes no fucking sense. Pa, like, why would you team up with Mobius when Mobius is literally Pa's enemy? Like, he was really willing to kill a person.
This.
Right.
I can't... The YouTubers, they're like this.
He was willing to kill a person to get his revenge on Mobius.
Mm-hmm.
And so to you go, oh, and not only that, he was willing to kill a person, and then in order to protect his friends, his gang, Toman, he even turns himself in because he knows what he did was wrong. Mm-hmm. He knew he wasn't supposed to do what the fuck
so
he did.
It's not even like Mikey and Draken snitched on Pa and got him in jail. Pa did it himself, so there's no reason for you to get upset about that.
Pet was there. So you see Mikey being dragged off because he's screaming to Pet to come, and everybody being like, first of all, everybody at first was like, Pa, what are you doing? Come on. And Pa himself was like, nah, y'all go. I'm going to go with the cops.
I think Pet
was there when he said that.
Right, but for Pet, I think, like, everything that also happened after that, where Pet didn't think that Mikey was doing enough to get Pa out, even though it's like, he's 12. What else could he do? And I think he said something like that, because I think at some point, Mikey talks about the fact that he went to go see Pa at some point. And so, like, but Pet didn't know that.
No, it was Draken who went to go see Pa every single day, and Pet didn't know that. He was thinking that Draken, because Draken was just honoring.
Would Pet go against Mikey? But the thing, what makes no sense is that why would Pet still go against Mikey Toman? That part doesn't make any sense.
Why would you team up with Mobius?
Because
the enemy.
Even even before finding out that Draken went to go see Pa several times, you're still mad at Mikey. What did Mikey do? Mikey was on your side at first.
Well, by the time he finds this out, everything's already resolved. So he doesn't find out that Draken's been going.
That's what I said before.
Until later.
That's what I said. Even before this, you went against Toman, basically Mikey, because he's the leader of Toman. You didn't need to do that.
It would have made more sense if you just on your own
just
went
killed
after Draken.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. To team up with the gang that Pa himself hates. Avenge Pa?
I can see him going after Draken. It does not make sense why he went
to Mobius
to do it. He needed manpower. I guess he wasn't getting manpower from Toman. So he got manpower
he had
from
Kiyomasa.
Mobius. 2 people.
No, Kiyomasa got his whole squad behind him.
Over Toman.
Over just Draken. He was only going after Draken.
But still, he's a bitch.
Yeah. I'm just saying. It made no sense.
He's still a bitch. Like,
yes.
He needed that. He needed those people to fight Draken.
Clearly.
So technically, that's why he didn't go against him himself. And I think they even said something about that. They're like, oh, you brought all these people to deal with 4 of us?
Yeah.
It was Draken.
Yeah.
Mikey. Was it Draken, Mikey,
Nike was not there yet.
It's Mitsuya.
Yeah, it was Mitsuya.
Mitsuya.
And it was only 3 of them. It was Draken, Takemichi, and Mitsuya, and then the girls.
Emma
and Hinata. And Mikey wasn't there because they purposely called him away.
Yes.
And then at that time, nobody else was there. But they all pull up, and then it's a huge brawl in this parking lot.
But that's when he said, the 4 of us.
Mm.
He did, like, when Mikey pulled up, he was like, you're such a bitch for, like, for number 1, calling me away, and 2, bringing this many people, and you're going to fight 4 people. Like, what? Bring 4 people. That's all you needed. Or bring 3 people. But Ped didn't even know that Mitsuya, Takemichi, Emma, Hinata, or Mikey were going to end up being there.
They were trying to single him out.
So, like, he could have just
brought a whole gang for one.
Right, you could have just brought one person. Could have just brought one person.
All he needed was, what's his name and his crew. Because that's at least 8 people.
But, like, if you're fighting one person and you're trying to avenge somebody, don't be a bitch. Fight him yourself.
I know, right?
Fight him yourself. Just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not avenging anybody. You have a gang of people. You just look like you're weak because you had to get. Please help me fight him. Okay, how many people is it?
He's all crying.
It's one. It's one person.
He's more of a bitch than Takemichi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly. But that fight was crazy. And before that fight, Takemichi got taped up by Kiyomasa.
Mm-hmm.
Who in their right mind, if you overhear a murderer plotting a murder with multiple people who are going to be involved in this murder,
I would have walked the other way.
And you're unarmed.
I would have walked.
And these people already hate you. In addition,
but like
you're gonna tell them you heard them plotting a murder
in the festival. What makes no sense? It's not like that. That Takemichi wasn't by him, like that he was by himself. I mean, he literally had Draken at the festival somewhere. He had a phone. Again, this is 2005. This is not 1962. He had a phone.
He was already on the phone with his other friend with the glasses.
Right. Because he's the one that told him the information. Call up Draken, say, yo, they trying to kill you, bro. Or go and find him. But to go up to... Hey, I heard you were going to murder my friend. Don't do that.
I'm dead. That's not like what happened, but like, that's essentially what happened.
Just imagine me just...
He's so stupid. Like, this bothered me so much. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. I heard some suspicious activity over here. Are you possibly planning a murder?
You know killing is wrong.
That is so wrong. Give me your hand. Shame.
Like, what the fuck? And be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you overheard
You're
that.
Right.
I'm gonna turn a new leaf.
What was I thinking?
Ugh.
Thank God you came and brought me to my senses. What would I have done?
Oh. Thank you. Like, what? I just...
Imagine Takemichi being your boyfriend.
Me?
You, everyone, the world. You on a date, and you just walk up, and this motherfucker is taped up on the ground.
And she just... What makes no sense is that, like, this kind of shit always happens, and she's just not like... Here we go again. Like, it's literally normal that she doesn't act like that.
I feel so bad for her. Like, why are you with him?
Why do you feel so bad? She can break up with him at any moment.
I know.
This is
and
not...
that's what bothers me, but, like, it's just like, why? I don't know. I can't understand it.
I can't understand it either.
I can't understand it. But
like, you're a pretty girl. You can get anybody else, but you can get Mikey. You can get Draken. Honestly, I would like to see Hinata with Draken. Even though Emma likes him, I'm not a fan of blonde on blonde. I'm not a fan of blondes dating blondes. I feel like they have some snobby superior over themselves.
Okay.
I just don't think that they would look good. I think, like, in animes, it's got to be, like, 2 different hair colors. I don't know why. It looks,
that's just usually what they do in anime.
It just looks better.
Yeah. True.
Looks better because
but Hina and Dragon, that's random. Where the hell? Like, that's random. I didn't think about that.
Not better than Takemichi.
Well, anybody's
better than Takemichi. That's why I said that. That's why I said Mikey or Draken. I would like to see her with Draken because of the fact that she's so sweet and innocent, and then you see this man behind her, and he's like, "What's up?"
With a tattoo on his
right. And it's like, "Is that your brother?" No, I'm her boyfriend. Like, it's like, oh, shit. He's scary. So that's why. As opposed to Mikey, like, he looks like he's more softer in looks, even though he's a cool badass. Yeah.
I know.
So that's why I was like,
But anyway, that whole scene with the fight, I had so much anxiety during the whole festival. Because, first of all, why would you leave him alone on the day he's supposed to die?
You're supposed to wait until the day has gone.
To go on a date with a 12-year-old.
To go, like, he should not have gone, even though you think that you resolved it, because what made him think that he resolved it is because of the fact that they were fighting, and then Draken came to his house, Mikey came to his house at the same time, they fought, and then the shit on Takamichi's head made them come back together. You thought that alone saved everybody. Draken, Hinata, Naoto. I mean, Naoto's already going to be saved. Akun. You thought that right there was going to save all of them? You should always wait. If anybody out there time traveling, or me, just if I did, I would. If you know that he's going to die on this day, and this day is not over, don't slack off. Don't slack off. That was his biggest mistake.
And then not only that, what also pissed me off is they're together at the beginning of the brawl. He lost him again during the brawl. He's all looking through. Where did Draken go? How did you lose him? You were with him at the very beginning.
Get in the middle of the fight? You weren't fighting. It was crazy that he was standing there and nobody came after him. He's an easy target.
Easiest.
And nobody did shit. Nobody came after him. I would have. Biting ankles. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But then we meet Hanma. Do we
Yeah.
not? In this one? Hanma.
Sin and punishment.
Sin, punishment. I remembered which hands they were on. I just watched the episode.
I know, me too. I like those tattoos. Too.
I
remembered it.
Yeah. And then I
like Hanma.
I actually do like Hanma. I actually do enjoy Hanma. We meet more of the commanders. We already met Mitsuya. We already met
him.
Pa and Pe. We see Happy earlier, but we don't actually know that that's his name. Or know what his real name is.
I still don't think we know that that's his name. Because they told us his real name
on the thing. I think soon after that they said it was Happy.
Love him too.
Love Happy. Love Happy. And then there's Baji!
Love Baji.
Okay.
At the moment he pulled up on the scene, I freaking
right,
loved him.
after that, Baji moved up to number 1. Draken was 2, Mikey 3rd.
Draken's still my number 1.
Baji is totally I love Baji so much. Like
I loved watching them fight because you got to see that because so far it seemed like the only badasses in Toman were Mikey and Draken. And especially you would have thought Paul was too, but then you saw Paul get his ass beat. So you're like,
I honestly didn't think Pa was that tough. He just looked big.
I mean, yeah.
And that's
But he was a captain.
Right.
So I would assume maybe he's got some shit about him, you know?
Clearly not enough.
What I love about Mitsuya, Happy, and Baji is that they pulled up on a scene and fucked shit up from the very moment they pulled up.
I like Mitsuya being very mellow. Baji is that dude where he's scary looking, but you know that he's a huge softie. Happy looks like a softie.
He's a psychopath. Not. He kind of reminds me of Luck.
He does. He does. And I love Luck.
Yes, exactly.
So come on, I can't not like Happy. Mm-hmm. And his name, he's Happy. He's over there. I love fighting. Die. Can we fight more? Literally smiling the entire time.
Literally Luck.
Right. So Baji, my baby, love him.
I loved him the moment he had his
the hair tie. He's like, I've been waiting for this all day. With his long hair, he pulls it up.
Did not come to play, and
my god,
loved it.
I love Baji.
Hilarious.
Baji, and again, another moment where I forget they're 12-year-olds. Baji don't look like a 12-year-old in that moment.
Only one who looks 12 is
Happy.
Takamichi. Oh,
Happy looks. He may not look 12, but maybe 14, 15.
The other ones, I wouldn't say
they're
they
older.
look 12.
Are they older? Isn't Happy, Baji, and them a little
they're all Mikey and Draken's age, and I think they are 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I meant like older as in Takemichi.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they're 13.
Right, 13. Not that much older, but
Yeah.
a year older.
But to me, they would look more like they're like high schoolers.
Baji, yes. Mitsuya, yes. Happy,
Even,
freshman.
Yeah.
The rest of them, sophomore, junior.
Draken definitely looks like a high schooler.
Yeah.
Mikey don't.
No.
Mikey don't.
He looks like he's either... Happy and Mikey look like they're 8th grade going to 9th grade or just started 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally the first day of 9th grade.
Right.
Not even the last day. Because at least you've grown up a little bit since then. At least a little bit. But they look like 8th grade, 9th grade, while the rest of them look like they're above sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I love.
I can't wait to see more of them.
Speaking of them, out of the ones that you've seen, who would you consider, or who would you want to be your kid? If you were going to have a badass kid, who would you consider to be your kid? Or who would you want to be?
It's such a weird question to me.
I
don't even have kids.
That doesn't mean anything. What does you having kids mean?
Because
anything?
now I have to picture me as a parent and wanting a kid.
No, it's simple. Who's a badass and who would you want to be your child? I would say Happy or Baji.
I would say Draken because he's my favorite out of all of them. I guess. I don't know.
If I was going to have a kid that can stick up for themselves, I would choose them. I wouldn't have to worry about shit. I wouldn't have to worry about that. I wouldn't want Takemichi as my child.
No.
I wouldn't want Hama, even though I like Hama. I wouldn't want Hama.
No, he's a psychopath.
So, that would be my child. Happy and Baji. Two complete opposites looking.
So weird.
They'd be cool kids. They'd be cool kids to have. Honestly. I think of that too. Like, I don't want no nerdy ass kid where I'm just like, I don't understand anything that you're doing. As opposed to like Baji.
So you want delinquent kids?
No. But if I were to have badass kids that I wouldn't have to worry about, like I said, and I could also still hang out with Baji and Happy. You should be friends with your child in a way. Yes.
This is such a weird question to me. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
It's not that weird.
It's weird.
We have weirder questions than
I
this. Yes, we do.
Thinking what anime child I want as a child is weird.
You're not a child.
I said what anime child I want as a child.
Right. That makes it seem like you're saying that you're a child. What
Like as a child of mine.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I've never watched any anime and thought that. That's why it's weird to me.
I say that. I asked this question because of the fact that there's no parents in this. And I feel like I need to put a parent to children.
That's so true.
I need to take them under my wing and give them a mother.
And I really wonder about Takemichi's parents because he looks like he lives in a good neighbor,
family.
Nice family. Like, I don't understand. Even in the future, he acts like he's just like this loner reject that doesn't even have family or friends.
Maybe he doesn't. He's never mentioned them. Maybe
Except for when they were fighting, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that's when me and my dad went on a trip together." And I'm like, "Where is your dad? Where are your parents?"
Or maybe he lost his future Takemichi lost his parents, but before then, obviously, because he lived in a nice house, we see it. But I think maybe after that, maybe he lost his family, so he doesn't.
He did run away.
He ran away? I thought he just left.
He said he ran away.
Oh, I thought he just left. I don't know where he would have gone without parents, but left. Gone to go get a job. Hell, I don't know. But our boy Draken ends up getting stabbed by Kiyomasa, and we find out that Kiyomasa is the one that did all this. And thinking back on it, I think Kiyomasa was the one that told Mobius that they were there the first time around. Because, he was the one that basically got humiliated in front of all his people by Draken and Mikey.
I mean, but it really doesn't make sense because Mikey was the one who kicked him in the face with the flip-flop. He didn't try to go kill Mikey.
Sorry, could you say that again? My apologies.
What?
I couldn't hear what you said.
Excuse me, ma'am. We're talking about Tokyo Revengers. Shut up. I don't
know where she came from. Anyway,
moving on. I still think that Kiyomasa still to get back at them did it. The whole because he's the one
mean,
that he's the one that stabbed Draken. Draken also kicked him, did he not?
I mean, yeah, he did, but so did Mikey. Is my point.
And to get back at Mikey, he killed
Mikey
his.
was the real one who like
Some
kicked
people,
him out of the gang.
but to get back at Mikey, kill the next best thing to him to fuck him up. Not necessary, because like if you want to see him suffer, you wouldn't want to kill him because you see him suffer only for that moment until he dies. You really want to see him suffer, you kill his favorite person, and then you really see the spiral.
Yeah.
Because if I was gonna get back at somebody, I would do something to the other person to see how their emotions. So, I think it was all Kiyomasu at this point.
He was a little bitch.
Right. It makes sense that he would do any of this.
Right.
And then he tries to finish the job, and then freaking what's his face Takamichi, all his friends get their ass beat, and eventually
He gets stabbed in the hand.
He gets stabbed in the hand, and then this is when he has like this revelation, I guess, that he's like, I'm gonna be better. I'm like not gonna cry and like run away all the time. And I think that's why he gets his hand stabbed, or he gets his hand stabbed before that. I don't remember. All I know is he thought he was badass and that he could do it. And then at some point
he did
gets
choke
stabbed.
him out
He did. But still.
after he got his hand stabbed.
Which I don't understand how you could do that when you just got a knife slashed through your
He
hand.
used his other arm. That's adrenaline.
The
You're running
adrenaline.
on straight adrenaline, and you have no choice. I mean, your friend's back here on his deathbed.
Dying.
These guys are trying to kill you. Your freaking girlfriends are.
Why didn't anybody take a shirt or anything and like stuff the wound?
No.
Okay.
And I was wondering that too. I was like, is anyone going to attempt to stop the bleeding?
I mean, I understand 12-year-olds, I guess, but like, I feel like y'all have dealt with enough like wounds from other people that you would know.
I mean, you took health.
Yeah.
I took health. They teach you about lacerations and how to.
And what to do with them?
Yeah.
I don't remember learning that at 12. I don't know. I know I took a health class. I remember learning STDs.
Well, that was sex ed.
But I don't remember learning about how to get rid of a stab wound. Maybe not. No.
I love that because you learn about like the different names of like how deep the cuts are. Like,
Yeah,
the different names of them, and then how to treat them.
Didn't learn that. I did learn. I had a terrible health teacher. Then don't even remember who it is, so I can't even call you out. Anyway, he ends up in the hospital after that whole fight. The ambulance coming, he ends up in the hospital. Right, finally.
I'm so mad. I really thought Draken was gonna die. I was like, if he dies after all this.
I mean, but do we know? Because this is part 1. Do we know?
If you're in the ambulance, I'm just gonna assume you made it.
Okay. Just because you're in the ambulance don't mean anything. A lot of times, people end up dying, being pronounced dead at the hospital. Let's hope that you gotta hope that doesn't happen, but it could happen. Just saying.
It's true, but for me, the ambulance coming was like a sigh of relief.
It was. That was very anxiety inducing.
Yeah,
I was like, very anxiety inducing.
Okay, everything's gonna be okay.
Because I'm just like, because my thing is like throughout the whole fight, they're like in a parking lot and there's buildings everywhere. Does nobody see?
I mean, it was the middle of the night and it was during a festival, so no one's at work. They were having this festival,
But nobody's walking back to their car, walking home. Like,
I mean, there were no cars in that
not a
parking lot.
single person who was walking through that area.
I know.
Or heard a commotion. Like, even if they're not like walking through per se, but you're walking near it and you don't necessarily hear it. You hear a commotion and and it sounds like fighting. Some people might not necessarily go to see what it is just for their own safety, but if you did go see it, or if you just heard it and it was very concerning, hey, 911, somebody's doing that, like, illegal activity or something.
One thing.
Because I thought there were apartments, or I thought there was at least one apartment around with lights on.
It looked
at
to me
that
like
moment.
they're like in the middle of a city or something.
Right, and apartments are in a city.
That's true.
So I thought that at least one of those buildings had to be an apartment. In the city, every corner you turn, there got to be an apartment somewhere. So like nobody saw nothing. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in one area making a lot of commotion, and nobody heard anything to say anything.
Motorcycles roaring up.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many things that would have made somebody question the noises that they heard. So that's what doesn't make sense. But
Worked out.
maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll find out in part.
Bye.